We have all met a toxic employee. They are not just someone having a bad day. They are the coworker who constantly undermines others' ideas in meetings. They are the team member who takes credit for work they did not do. They are the person who spreads gossip, creating distrust and anxiety. Think of them as a taker. They drain energy from the group, leaving everyone else feeling depleted and less motivated. A toxic employee is a black hole for morale. Their negative behavior is contagious. It can spread quickly, poisoning the atmosphere for everyone around them. Their impact goes far beyond their own desk. They make good people question whether they want to stay. On the other side, we have cultural fit. This is not about hiring people who all look and think the same. That leads to groupthink and stagnation. True cultural fit is about shared values. It is about how people work together. Does your company value collaboration and open debate? Then a cultural fit is someone who enjoys brainstorming with others and is not afraid to share constructive feedback. Is your organization focused on meticulous, deep work? Then a cultural fit is someone who finds joy in precision and can work independently for long periods. It is about aligning the fundamental principles of how work gets done. It is about finding givers and matchers, not just takers. The damage from a single toxic hire can be immense. Their negativity ripples through teams, causing good employees to disengage. Productivity plummets not just because of the toxic person's own poor performance, but because they distract and demotivate everyone else. Projects get delayed, communication breaks down, people start hoarding information instead of sharing it, fearing it will be used against them. The workplace, which should be a source of purpose and collaboration, becomes a place of stress and suspicion. The best employees, the givers, are often the first to leave. They have other options and will not tolerate a negative environment for long. This creates a vicious cycle. When a great employee leaves, the team's workload increases. The remaining members feel more pressure. The toxic employee might even see this as a victory, further emboldening their destructive behavior. The cost is not just measured in lost productivity or the expense of recruiting a replacement. It is measured in lost trust, broken teams, and a damaged reputation. A company's culture is its immune system. A toxic hire is an infection that, if left unchecked, can make the entire organization sick. Preventing that infection in the first place is one of the most important jobs of any leader. Before you can hire for cultural fit, you must know what your culture actually is. Many companies have a set of values written on a wall, but the real culture is not what you say it is. It is how your people behave every day. It is what happens when the boss is not in the room. To understand your true culture, you need to observe and listen. Look at who gets praised and promoted. Are they the collaborators who help others succeed, or the lone wolves who hit their targets at any cost? The answer reveals your true priorities. What stories do people tell about the company? These stories are powerful indicators of your unwritten rules and shared beliefs. A great way to define your culture is to bring your people into the conversation. Ask your best employees, the givers and the high performers, what they value most about working there. What makes them stay? What behaviors do they believe lead to success in your organization? Conduct small group workshops or anonymous surveys. Ask questions like, describe a time you felt proud to work here. What was happening? Or what is one thing you would never want to change about how we work together? The patterns that emerge from these answers are the building blocks of your authentic cultural DNA. This is not an HR exercise. It is a business imperative. Once you have a clear picture of your culture, you must translate it into your job descriptions. A job description should be more than a list of skills and responsibilities. It should be a window into your workplace. If collaboration is a core value, do not just write team player. Instead, use language like, you will succeed here, if you enjoy partnering with colleagues across different departments to bring big ideas to life. If you value autonomy, say something like, we are looking for someone who thrives on taking ownership of projects from start to finish. This language acts as a filter. It attracts candidates who are excited by your way of working and discourages those who are not. Think of your job description as your first interview. It sets the tone and expectations. Use it to tell a story about your company. Include a section titled, How We Work or What We Value. Share a brief, honest description of your environment. Are you fast-paced and constantly changing? Say so. Are you methodical and detail-oriented? Be clear about it. This transparency saves everyone time. Candidates can self-select. The right people will read it and think, this sounds like a place where I could do my best work. The wrong people will move on, and that is exactly what you want. A resume tells you what a person has done. It does not tell you how they did it. To uncover cultural fit, you need to move beyond technical questions and ask behavioral ones. These questions ask candidates to share real-life stories from their past experiences. Instead of asking, "Are you a good team player?" ask a question that requires a specific example. A great behavioral question sounds like this. Tell me about a time you had a disagreement with a coworker on a project. How did you handle it, and what was the outcome? The answer reveals far more about their character and values. The key is to design questions that directly test your core cultural values. If one of your values is curiosity, you could ask, describe a time you had to learn a completely new skill to get a job done. If you value giving or helping others, tell me about a time you went out of your way to help a colleague who was struggling. Listen carefully to their answers. Do they use I or we? Do they take responsibility for failures, or do they blame others? The stories they choose to tell are powerful clues about who they are. It is also crucial to involve the team in the interview process. A hiring manager might be impressed by a candidate's skills, but the people who will work with them every day have a unique perspective. Arrange for candidates to meet with potential peers. This gives the candidate a more realistic preview of the job. The team can ask questions about collaboration and communication styles. Their feedback is invaluable. They can often spot red flags that a manager might miss. Give the candidate plenty of time to ask their own questions. The questions they ask can be just as revealing as the answers they give. Do they ask us about opportunities for growth and learning? That suggests a desire to contribute long-term. Do they ask about team dynamics and how success is celebrated? That shows they care about the collaborative environment. Or do they only ask about vacation time and salary? A narrow focus might indicate a more transactional mindset. An interview should be a two-way conversation, a mutual discovery to see if there is a genuine match. After the interviews, it's super tempting to just make a quick decision, but honestly, this is where the most critical due diligence really begins. Reference checks are, often treated as just a formality, just a box to be ticked. But let me tell you, that's a huge mistake. When you do them thoughtfully, reference checks can actually be one of your most powerful tools for verifying cultural fit. Don't just ask references to confirm dates of employment. Instead, ask them behavioral questions, just like you did with the candidate. Frame your questions around the candidate's past behaviors and your company's core values. This whole approach transforms the reference check from a simple verification into a deep, insightful conversation. To get honest feedback, you've got to structure your reference questions carefully. For example, instead of asking, was she a good collaborator, which, let's be real, usually just gets you a generic positive response, try something more nuanced. You could say, we are a highly collaborative team here. Could you share an example of a project where the candidate had to work closely with others who had different opinions? Or, tell me about a time the candidate faced a major setback. How did they react, and how did they communicate the situation to their team and manager? These specific story-based questions encourage the reference to provide concrete examples that actually reveal the candidate's true character and work style. In some roles, especially leadership positions, assessment tools can give you an extra layer of insight. They're not a replacement for good interviews and reference checks, but they do supplement them. Psychometric assessments can help measure personality traits, work styles, and cognitive abilities. They can give you data on a candidate's preference for collaboration versus independence, their approach to problem solving, or their resilience under pressure. When you use these tools correctly, they can help identify potential areas of misalignment with your culture that maybe didn't show up during the interview process. The results should be used to spark further conversation, not as a simple pass-fail test. The goal of all this due diligence is to build a complete picture of the candidate. You're looking for consistency across their resume, their interview answers, and the feedback from their references. Are the stories they told you backed up by what their former managers and colleagues say? Do the traits identified by an assessment line up with the behaviors they described? When all the pieces fit together and paint a picture of someone who shares your values, a giver who is collaborative, resilient, and honest, you can feel confident that you're not just hiring for skill. You're hiring a person who will actually make your entire organization better. The hiring process doesn't just end when the candidate accepts the offer. The first few weeks and months on the job, the onboarding period, are honestly absolutely critical. This is your chance to turn cultural fit into real cultural contribution. A great onboarding program does more than just handle paperwork and set up a computer. It intentionally immerses the new hire in your company's culture. It's really the bridge between the values you talked about during the hiring process and the reality of living those values every single day. This is where you show them, not just tell them, this is how we do things here. Make your onboarding experience rich with cultural learning. Assign a culture buddy or mentor, a respected long-term employee who really exemplifies your values. This person can answer all those small, informal questions a new hire might be hesitant to ask their manager. Schedule short meetings with leaders from different departments so they can explain how their teams contribute to the company's mission. Share the stories of past successes and, even failures, explaining what was learned from them. This helps the new person understand the context behind your processes and the why behind your what. It totally accelerates their sense of belonging and purpose. Onboarding is also a super important time to reinforce the behaviors you want to see. If you value giving and collaboration, build it into their initial projects. Assign them a small task where they need to partner with a few different people to succeed. This immediately shows that working together isn't just a slogan, it's a requirement for success. Celebrate their early efforts to help others or ask thoughtful questions. Publicly recognize behaviors that align with your culture. This positive reinforcement shows the new hire and everyone else what's truly valued in the organization. It sets a clear path for them to follow. Ultimately, a culture-focused hiring and onboarding process is like an investment that pays incredible dividends. It reduces the risk of costly, toxic hires. It improves employee retention because people feel like they belong. It boosts engagement and productivity because teams are built on a foundation of shared values and trust. When you prioritize finding people who not only can do the job, but will also lift others up, you create a workplace that's more than just successful. You create a thriving community where people are energized, supportive, and excited to contribute their best work. And honestly, this is the secret to building an organization that can withstand any challenge and flourish for years to come.